Oregon Board of Commissioners meeting, April 14th, 2021. Quick introductions here. To my far left, Director Rickert, Commissioner Chris Pash, myself, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner Herzog, County Council Anthony Pope, Staff John Jesuit in the office, or in the audience. We have Jay Croce, Parks Director for Brookings City, Sheriff John Ward, Treasurer David Barnes, Matt Hall from the Curry County Reporter, Porterford News, Myrtle Point Herald, and Coquille Sentinel. Gordon Clay, Chair of our Curry County Suicide Awareness Prevention, and Mr. Cameron McVeigh, high up in Advanced Health. Thank you all for being here. Oh, and Mr. Deputy Hensley, welcome. And Bonnie L. is going to make from Advanced Health also.
You don't want her husband.
Let's stand for the let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did you see Trost?
Yeah.
Trost did about 3 circles there.
Jay can't remember where the flag is.
Got a reminder on my screen, we're supposed to have a meeting in 2 minutes. So, my agenda just disappeared. Line of duty casualty report. I want to start this way. There it is. We're sitting right at 100 police officers killed in the in the United States for the first 3.5 months. A good friend called me up the other day. There's not been one riot or one officer has been killed. Lieutenant Hensley, did I forget you? My apologies. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
No one has rioted for them. I'd like to have a moment of silence if we may, and I'll have a thorough report on our 28th meeting. Thank you. And thank you again. Changes or additions to the agenda, commissioners?
I have none.
Okay. Council Pope, good day.
Good day. I just want to make some quick changes to the executive o'clock meeting. And then also I'd like to add an item to the 3 o'clock executive session, which will be 192.6602A, and that'd be to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual or agent.
Would you mind repeating that, please?
Yep.
The second one?
Adding, it'd be 192.6602A.
Okay.
And that's to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent.
Any discussion on that, board? Okay, any others? Okay, I have one or two, actually a couple.
Director had his hand up.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I'd like to add an item to Section 7, letter F, to discuss an MOU between Josephine County and Curry County, but I would like to move that item till after the executive session.
Would that actually be 7E instead of F?
No, we have 7E, appointment to Tourism Promotion Committee.
So we pull that out of the consent agenda.
No, that is on the agenda as is.
JJ gave us another amended agenda this morning.
Oh, Oh, you missed that too, huh? I
Uh-huh.
feel a little better. Okay. So 7E is tourism
Excuse me.
appointed. That's okay. Did you have anything to add, Commissioner?
Nope.
Okay, and so 7F?
7F, to be discussed after executive session.
Okay, likewise, then, who's next here? Item 6K, adopt a position, administrative assistant, public health. I would move that as 7G after executive session.
You want 6K moved to 7G?
See, I
Correct.
think your 6K is different.
6K, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
It's
I don't
different.
have-
So there's 6K now.
So we're going to move that, was still, yeah. It was, that didn't change, actually. So we're going that as 7G. Do I have that right now?
For the
Public
Budget
health.
Committee?
Yes.
Okay.
No. 7G is public, is now administrative assistant. So apparently we have agreement on that. I also want to move 6B into 7H. If we can, board. Minutes of 1/6/2021. And I have one more. The building official, 6F, needs to go into executive session. I think that's all I have. We had 17 consent agenda items. It's a little heavy for me, but I think we can get through it fairly quickly today. Last call, board. Anything additional?
Move approval?
I'll second that. Any other discussion? Call for the question. Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes,
Motion carried unanimously.
thank you. Now you're going to have to help me keep it all straight today.
All right.
Public comment first was Gordon Clay. Welcome, Gordon.
For the record, my name is Gordon Clay from Brookings, Oregon. First, I want to give a casualty report. There was a drop in daily COVID cases from 4.3 per day to 2.6 per day and one death during the last 2 weeks, for a total of 9 deaths. Del Norte County has almost 5,000 more citizens than Curry County, plus the prison, and they've only had 6 deaths to date. Regarding suicide, we lost 9 citizens in 2019, 8 last year. The concern is that we've had 3 suicides in the first 2 months of this year, which is not a good sign. April is Alcohol Awareness Month, and addiction to alcohol is one of the major contributors to suicide. It can offer the boost of liquid courage that an individual needs to put a suicide plan into action. In this case, the distress that a decision to end one's life can cause is eased by the booze. In other cases, one's sound judgment can become impaired, causing normal sober inhibitions to disappear and make suicide seem like a reasonable option. Alcohol can also ignite the impulsivity to carry through with an attempt that might not otherwise occur. Alcohol is involved in more than a quarter of all suicides in the United States. 80% of the victims are men, 20% women. People who misuse drugs and alcohol are 40 times greater risk of suicide than those who do not. They have a higher rate of both attempts and completed suicides, and are 120 times more likely to die by suicide than someone who doesn't abuse alcohol. Alcohol is often a factor in suicidal behaviors for young men and male teens as well. Denial is a common trait among those struggling with alcoholism or alcohol abuse. They often underestimate the amount they drink, the duration of their drinking problem, the impact it has, or quit. Denial is also common among friends and family members who are uncomfortable acknowledging the gravity and reality of the situation. If left unchecked, alcohol abuse can lead to depression and ultimately suicidal thoughts and actions. In view of the strong link between alcoholism and suicide, there's a clear need to provide public health education regarding sensible drinking, and Alcohol Awareness Month gives public health bodies and treatment facilities a chance to increase their efforts to reach people who may not fully appreciate the dangers of unhealthy alcohol consumption. Getting treatment for alcohol addiction is the best way to prevent suicidal thoughts and actions as a result of alcohol abuse. Thank you.
Gordon? Real quickly, you're concerned for the expiration of the crisis hotline. I'm looking at your, trying to find a specific email. Bear with me. Here we go. Correct me if I'm wrong. Public can be informed. 877-519-9322. You got to memorize by heart, don't you?
No, not that one.
But it is valid, and we want to make sure that the county keeps that front and center and not change that. That's that, according to your email and concern.
Well,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, it's so important, and we've got the crisis cards out there, thousands over the last 6 years, and to not have that number there, or to have it go in the interim between the switch of power in behavioral health. If somebody would call that and it's an answering machine,
Yep.
or it's not functioning, would most likely just add to their level of severe crisis. So I really appreciate the county paying strong attention to that. Every county has one, and it needs to be manned by, or womaned by
24/7.
by competent people. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And we'll visit again in a month or so before the expiration of Curry Community Health. Thank you again, Gordon. You are okay.
Thanks.
Connie Hunter, please.
Thank you.
By formerly homeless veteran family members.
Like a nightlight?
And these are gifts for you.
Can I have the blue one?
Sure.
No.
Oh, you got to be.
No, it's awesome.
Part of what hi, I'm Connie Hunter. Very excited to be here today to talk about all the different things that we're up to with the Curry County Suicide Awareness and Prevention Council Veterans Task Group. If you look at the local newspaper, it talks about Casey exhibit on display at Manly Arts Center. That's one of our Veterans Task Group members, Calvin Casey. The most important thing that I have to talk about today is I'm going to forward you information on veterans and COVID, which is a Bob Woodruff Foundation publication which projects the economic, social, and mental health needs of Americans veterans. And as you go through, especially in the at the end of the report, it has some conclusions and some recommendations. And you're going to see that this has been a playbook that I've been using as a tool data-driven tool for our Veterans Task Group. And so one of the things that we haven't done a whole lot of work on has to do with addressing veterans' employment challenges. So you're going to have me come forward and talk more about that. I've talked about housing and veterans and how that relates to suicide previously. And one of the things that we really need to know that during this pandemic that veterans are at a tremendous financial risk. And one of the things that I'm asking our local governments to consider is transition internships. We have a handful of veterans who are in transition, who a wonderful opportunity for an internship, and I know during COVID it might not be able to happen. It's harder, but in the future, if internships could be created, especially during the summer months, on behalf of veterans, that would be great. Also, we have put together some great opportunities for trainings, and I have gotten this information back from our partners who include the VA, the Older Adult Behavioral Health Initiative folks, and you're going to see also we've got you guys on the schedule. We have Commissioner Pash on the schedule. We talked about this, and we'll double check the dates and times just to do a kickoff opener to our QPR suicide prevention training, and then one for our community care providers, which is the 14th of May. So I'm going to hand out these flyers, and that's Commissioner Boyce is invited to handle that spot.
Thank you.
So this is going to be virtual, and we're going to follow up with some
I have it
other
already, Connie.
opportunities later. But this is probably the first time, at least that I'm aware of, and it didn't happen before me, I'm told, that we should have the VA as a full partner in this opportunity. So that's a huge thing. And I encourage everybody, especially providers, and I'll get more information out to everyone. And I do have extra flyers. Encourage everybody on May 7th who would like to have QPR training, especially our veterans and family members and caregivers. And on May 14th, our community care providers. Anybody provide opportunity for them to get that background training and understanding of veterans suicide prevention, which is different than just suicide prevention in general. Thank you.
Connie?
Thanks.
Connie, Leonard, would you tell us a little more about these houses? Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Well, gladly. And one of the things that we've been able to do as a Veterans Task Group is to work on behalf of some of our formerly homeless veterans and their families. We bring, of course, during the pandemic, we see a lot of stress levels in those families. They're feeling housing insecure, and if they've been previously housing insecure, that's an additional stressor, significantly additional stressor. And we know that if a veteran experiences homelessness at any time in their life, that they are 4 times more likely to attempt or commit suicide. So recognizing that we have a lot of children who are in stress along with their parents, we did art kits. We had a fantastic lady, Linda Nelson, who came forward with a whole bunch of art kits We added to those art kits, we distributed to 25 children. And one of the things that we teach in our way of thinking in our task group is to pay it forward. And so those children are paying it forward to bring attention to the issues of veterans' homelessness and housing insecurity during the pandemic. And the family that did those has been a long-term relationship in terms of support, but they needed mental health issues are a piece of the puzzle. So thank you for asking.
Thank you for all your work with veterans and your help too. We're going to recognize Lauren Farmer on the 28th.
I'm very blessed to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call, public comments. Well, I'm happy to introduce Jackie Antunis, Executive Director of Wally's House. She did a presentation about a year ago. Welcome to you. She's also going to talk.
I'm shocking. Hi, I'm Jackie Antunis.
Director Rickard.
I'm the Executive Director of Wally's House, as Commissioner Boyce said. This is the month. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Your county's Child Advocacy Center conducts forensic interviews, medical examinations, or referrals for services and advocacy for children and their families that are victims of different types of child abuse. Prior to our pandemic, we were seeing in-house an average of anywhere from somewhere between 40 and 50 children every year in-house, and then serving through the multidisciplinary team process other children and families with our community partners. 2019, through the multidisciplinary team, we served 80 children, and 46 came to Wally's House for various services. In 2020, 48 children were served by the multidisciplinary team, and 25 came to the Center for Services. Now, that's not because child abuse has gone away. That's because children weren't in school, children weren't in sports, and those mandatory reporters out there were not able to have eyes on those children and have those children have that relational time to confide what was happening to them, to those people. So in other areas in the state, the numbers are now on the rise. We are seeing more children coming through the center now. We've had about 13 cases this year, and so gauged on that, we will see more now that things are opening up and children are coming to different activities in school. We launched a campaign this April and you saw the sign that says we support Wally's House and Child Abuse Prevention. We didn't know how that was going to go around the state and country. There's a pinwheel campaign that goes on, and it's just to cause awareness that child abuse goes on. If you remember, pinwheels make you happy. And there are a lot of children who aren't happy and are being hurt. And so it's just kind of that trying to relate the fact that something that is, happy and catches our eye is kind of representing the fact that there are children that don't have that happiness and that joy because of what they're going through. We did very well on this campaign. We will do it again next April. We'll be contacting businesses and individuals earlier in the month of March to get it out earlier than we did. We were able to launch this the first week of April, and we have sold out all of our signs and pinwheels. And they were one bundle of pinwheels and a sign was $25. 2 bundles and a sign was $50. We've covered the cost of the campaign and made a couple extra dollars to boot, but that'll all go into unrestricted funds for whatever service we need to do or expense that comes up unexpectedly. We will, in July, have hit our second anniversary as a standalone nonprofit. The funds that fund us are through the State Child Abuse Multidisciplinary Intervention Fund and federal dollars that come through the state from the Victims of Crime Act money, in addition to funds that come through our applications to different foundations and funders around the state. Currently, the centers in our state have been working to try to get more funding for our centers. The services that are provided around the state are mandated. They're in statute. So currently the funding that we do get through CAMI from the state only takes care of 18% of our budgets overall in the state. So we're trying to make those in leadership aware that more funding needs to be coming if those services are mandated and required by our multidisciplinary teams that they come to centers for these services, and these specialized services from the centers are a requirement, then we need some help in order to make sure that we're staffed with the appropriate people to make sure these children that need these services are getting them. And I guess I kind of just rambled on, but are there questions?
Not at all rambling on. Mr. Herzog.
Do you work with CASA?
So yes, CASAs are a part of the system. So my relationship with them is when a child is referred to me, I work with law enforcement and child welfare services to assess the child and see what action, if any, needs to be taken regarding the call that one of them has received. And then if it turns out that their child in their screening process requires that they be placed in care and foster care with Department of Human Services, the CASA program is assigned to be that child's advocate. And so I'm on the front end on the assessment and advocacy that is different than what the CASA program does in their advocacy for children.
Because we have a new fella, right, that Ken Woodle?
I have not met him, and I saw that the position was being advertised still, so I'm not sure what's happening exactly with the CASA program.
So I met him, and I'll get maybe the three of us lined up, because he's out of Brookings now. Is that right, Cam?
They are rehiring. I'm hearing.
Pardon me?
There's a new, the position is open again.
Oh, so he's not there? Oh, wow, that was quick.
You didn't scare him off, did you?
He was an old Brookings guy, so...
Director and his staff will be filling in the interim until the director, before he retires.
Okay, well...
Good
So I
catch.
don't know who that is, Jackie.
I
thought
I'm
I did.
sure that it was a quick scene. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Pash? If you haven't had a chance to tour Wally's house yet,
I was there a while
Yeah,
back.
give us a call. We're happy to give anyone a tour if they give us a call. Sometimes we have meetings or cases, and so give us a call. We can schedule a time for a tour, and we're always happy to educate people and show what we do and explain why we do it. I have a phone number, so if you suspect child abuse, not even if you witness it, if you suspect it, if there's things that are going on that make you nervous and you think this kid's in trouble, don't hesitate to call 855-503-7233. That is our state screening. We now go through a centralized screening process with our state. Or call your local law enforcement, whatever town you're in. Pick up the phone and call and report it, and someone will respond.
would you mind giving that number again, please? Just for the...
855-503-7233. We also do mandatory reporter training now, so if you would like to, if you think or know you're a mandatory reporter and you want training on what to do or how to do it, I got trained to be a trainer. So anyway, watch for these next year.
That facility you have is safe and clean and beautiful, and it really helps with the awareness when you're able to see how you're set up to help kids that come into. I mean, I can't imagine doing it and being responsible to help them and feeling the pain, even on a small level, what they're feeling. But thank you for your work. Just tremendously, and you've been there 3 years now, I think, and I had the pleasure of knowing the Wally Honeycutt family and just great contributors. And you have a terrific board of directors, by the way, that not only help, but they contribute too financially, and just that's good leadership that you brought to the table there. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Deep breath. Whew. Exploring foster parenting. Bonnie, come up, please. You can adjust the microphones to where you're comfortable. Advanced Health Curry Coordinator, thanks for being here today. You were here also about a year ago, and boy, do we ever need to be reminded of your work and how important that is to kids. Thank you for coming today. Bonnie L.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Boyce, for having me. Yes, I am here on behalf of Advanced Health as the Community Engagement Coordinator, but also under United Way of Southwestern Oregon as the Program Director for Every Child Curry. So if a natural disaster hit our state and children were wandering the streets without someone to care for them, each of us would open our homes to help in the crisis. With more than 11,000 children in foster care in Oregon, and more entering the system every day, we're in the midst of a disaster in our state. The per capita rate for children in care in Curry County is higher than the state average. The last report I saw from the Oregon Department of Human Services noted that the state average was 15.7 children per thousand was the victim rate, and in Curry County, it's over 22%. So on average in Curry County, there have been between 35 and 55 children in the foster system. Right now, we currently have 25 children in foster care in county. A sibling set of 5 was just taken into care, but we didn't have a placement for them, and so they had to be placed in Bandon. And that's the level of crisis that we are at in our county. We only have 2 general applicant foster homes, and they are located in Gold Beach. So that means they are a non-relative placement. The others are relative placements in our county. So I'm here today to let you all know and to let our community know about the desperate need that we have for families to open up their hearts and their homes to children who come into care by no fault of their own. And so our hope through Every Child Curry is that there would be a safe, loving, and strategic placement for every child that comes into care, that there would be a waiting list of foster families, now called resource families. And so there would be an ideal placement for the child and for the family, that it would work with the biological children and the family. And so that's what we're trying to encourage, and Every Child is here to provide on-ramps for community members to serve vulnerable children and families. And we have a lot of ways to do that, which you can find out more about at everychildcurry.org. But I'm here specifically to talk about the need for foster families, resource families. And so we have events called Explore Fostering Coffee House events that have pivoted to Zoom. And there's actually one tomorrow, but you can go to everychildoregon.org and click on the events page, and it'll list all of the upcoming Explore Fostering Coffee House events. And we lean on partners, our affiliate partners with Every Child across the state. So we have other counties hosting these, but Curry County community members are welcome to join. There will be a panel of experienced foster parents on that call, as well as child welfare staff to help answer questions. And the foster parents get to share about the joys and challenges of the foster journey. And so, I would encourage anyone who has it on their heart to check out one of those events, or they can reach out to me at everychildcurry@gmail.com.
Questions, Commissioner?
Great presentation.
All right, thank you.
Giselle, you may have just stated it, but I hope I didn't miss it, but the last statistic I heard was basically that we're about half the staff for foster parents that we need, maybe 50%. What, do you have that stat?
Well, right now, we don't have capacity for any other children to come into care in our county. So this last sibling set of 5, 3 of those 5 were school-age children. And so in addition to the trauma of being removed from their home, they were also removed from their school and their community, their circle of friends. And so right now, we could use at least 1 more foster family in each community, in Brookings, in Gold Beach, and in Port Orford. So that's our hope. 3 more would be great. And with everyone that comes, that opens their doors, we'll celebrate.
Thanks again for the great work. Last chance, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on, Commissioners, to consent agenda. Go ahead and interrupt if I get anything out of sequence here, but approved minutes, special meeting January 4th. Approved minutes, special meeting April 7th. Adopt a position description for an existing position, victim assistant program director. Appointment to safety committee.
No, you missed E.
E.
Emergency Management Coordinator, existing position.
Yeah, we moved that to a discussion action item. Didn't we?
No, that was the building official one.
It was also emergency management coordinator.
I didn't hear that.
Did you? Did anybody?
No. No.
So 6E, we moved.
Well, I'm asking now, Board. I apologize if I missed that. I want to ask the sheriff or one of his staff a quick question. So if we may. So we're back to adopt a safety committee position. Adopt a position description for an existing position, chief deputy assessor. Ditto administrative secretary assessor. And we move K. Budget committee reappointment, 4-H and Extension Service District. Adopt 4.
Commissioner, you didn't read J into the record either.
Adopt position, I said ditto, administrative secretary, assessor?
Assessor. There was
Yeah.
2 assessors and then 1 for public health.
Yeah, I read both of them. I said ditto on the adopt a position description for an existing position. So, adopt 4 position descriptions for existing positions in the jail, corrections, corporal, deputy 1, and nurse and lieutenant corrections division. Sorry, the numbers are a little changed now, but that's okay. Adopt 3 position descriptions for existing position in the clerk's office. Clerk 1, deputy clerk 2, and chief deputy clerk. Reclassify 4 employees, clerk's office. This is fun, these 2. Rehire a former employee, Brenda Starbird. Rehire a former employee, Dawn Sigbarston. Any more discussion on that, Board? So we're clear, I think, aren't we?
I would just, if you don't mind, Chair,
Certainly.
I would just like to make sure we are clear. Adopt a position for an existing position for chief deputy assessor. I adopt a position description for an existing position, administrative secretary for the assessor. And J, adopt a position description for an existing position, administrative assistant for public health. I just wanted to make sure those 3 were clear for the record.
Okay, but we pulled the administrative assistant for public health out of the consent agenda and put it at the end of the executive session, Commissioner.
Because is that the MOU?
No, that was different.
That's
but
some different, yeah.
That was pulled.
So I'm pretty confident that is correct, what I just
communicated there. With that many, it's easy to miss. So looking for a motion, board, to approve the consent agenda as I just identified.
Move approval?
I'll second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please. Staff Jesuit.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Boy, we're at action items, huh? Good on time? Okay, 7A, hiring a deputy treasurer, David Barnes. Don't forget to adjust the microphones there, please.
Good morning, I'm David Barnes, I'm County Treasurer. We had a really big problem last year with people running for the job of treasurer and then not taking it, and someone else applying for the job and not taking it. And I ended up with the job by default, essentially. I'd like to talk to you this morning, at least open a discussion about hiring a deputy treasurer. I've found out over the last 3 months, this is a very intense job. There is a lot to it. There's a lot of money that comes through the treasurer's office every day. It comes from different sources. A lot of it is one-time or quarterly or monthly or yearly. There needs to be somebody besides just me who knows how to do this job. I'm learning it still. I'm blessed that Deb Crumley stuck around an extra week or two to help me learn this job. Otherwise, there's no way that you could do this. There's no way that somebody could walk into this office and be able to do the job. And so I'd like to just start this discussion this morning. I intend to put it on the budget for next year to hire a deputy. There's already, on this year's budget, there's $8,500 already budgeted for the office to bring in outside help. My hopes would be that there would be somebody that I could find who's already a county employee that I would be able to get part-time in a job sharing agreement. But if not, I would like to look at hiring somebody. My initial thought is $20 an hour for $20 a week. It works out to $20,000 a year. We would have to pay PERS, but because it would only be 20 hours, we wouldn't need to pay any other benefits. So, I just wanted to bring it to you this morning and let you know that these were my thoughts, so it didn't come as a surprise to you when budget time comes out. And I'd like, if you have any thoughts on it or anything that you'd like to comment to me about, I'd like to hear it. So,
Thank you. Commissioners?
I do have a little quick, Dave, so we know that you're not going to run in 2 years or a year and 8 months.
Probably not. no.
Probably not. And so I understand the need for a deputy, but what if we waited and did it next year? Because do we need somebody for these, year and 9 months or 8 months prior to the election process? So, does that make sense?
It does, and I'm reluctant to say this publicly, but I will. I've had a heart attack. I've had most of my stomach removed. I spent 12 years on disability, which I left to come and take this job. I'm not, I'm happy for every day that I wake up. And, you need somebody else who knows how to do this in case someday I don't, to put it bluntly. That's just...
Yeah.
Mr. Barnes, I think this is pretty insightful. We've known this, at least we should have known it, for the last 2 years. And it's been recommended that we do our job and find somebody else to train. I don't know if you can get somebody on a contractual basis for $20 an hour, but I really appreciate that sometimes you got to look at, part-time deal. I think it's an immediate need because it's a training process, and it's a huge responsibility. Any relief that we can give you in that category, in that position, that responsibility, all of our responsibility, we've overcome, some different things there. And I love your comment about in default, by default, and I think that's accurate in a good way. So I think we need to accelerate this, board. That's my position. We've known this is coming. We need help. The only question I have is sometimes I feel like in that part of the annex, we might be a little top-heavy because of the open, and this is not a complaint, but, in the open gov transition, in, new director of finance, possible people leaving, some contracts. I'm just worried about what we can afford, and, I think you're quite aware of those figures, and I think somewhat expressed that over time. But are you looking at, I think I heard you say you're looking at, hopefully within the county, on a part-time deal, and somebody that we could hire from within, if that's possible. Am I correct on that?
That would be my ultimate hope, would be to find somebody. I don't know if there's anybody who is part-time who is eligible for it right now, but that would be my hope, would be to bring somebody in, as I said, on a job sharing thing, where part of their salary would be paid from the treasurer's office and part would be paid from whatever their home office is, let's put it that way. That would be my goal. But at the end, if there's not somebody who fits that description, then there still needs to be somebody else who knows how to do that.
And it's probably no secret, maybe I shouldn't say this publicly, but it's probably no secret somebody we're going to want to run for treasurer someday.
That would, I don't know. I can't talk about anybody else's. I didn't run for the office. I'm in a very strange position where I hold an elected position that I didn't run for, and as I told you at the beginning, I didn't really want. But, the county has a need, and I happen to have the skill set for it. So my sense of civic obligation and responsibility made me stand up and offer my services to the county. So, that's kind of where I am. If we can go... I based the $20 number. That's when 12 years ago, I think it was, Deb Crumley became the deputy treasurer. I think Izzy was the treasurer at the time, and Deb was hired as a deputy, and that was a salary that she got 11, 12 years ago, and I'm just using that same number now. So,
Mr. Barnes, I just one more thing. I believe, I'm not sure, but I made you aware of the Jefferson County plan. They're basically a twin county to Curry, maybe 1,000 extra population, but incredibly well managed. And that was actually the treasurer there is the director of Oregon Treasurers Association. And, I quickly forwarded you that information when I got it in the very beginning. And, their system, and every county's different, and it may not work for us, but their system is basically... And I actually had some resistance to this in the very beginning, and it made sense with the resistance at first, but now I'm not sure of that. And that is basically a 6-member board, including the treasurer, who is also the director of finance, and I think the tax collector, which she mentioned. Correct me if I'm wrong. You probably remember better. Took about 10% of their time, the tax collecting.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that situation in Curry County, but anyway, they had that board. The commissioners were on that board. The director of finance, who was a part-time position there, a retired person, a guy by the name of Rasmussen. And anyway, it looked like a pretty good system, but the treasurer, the Department of Finance individual became the treasurer, and everything was governed by that 6-member board. All investments, all audits, everything. And they were able to demonstrate to me through different emails and work that they offered that they were able to save their county a lot of money. And so, like I say, I'm not saying that's right for Curry County, but I am going to take try and spend as much time as that as I can, run it by you and others, and see if that isn't a good approach for this county down the road.
One of the things that we have to consider when we're comparing counties is that Curry County has more than twice as many special districts as any other county. To me, speaking bluntly, to me, that screams a distrust in local government that's long-standing. You know, it's nothing on this panel. These districts go back years and years, but as a former auditor, one of my primary concerns is maintaining a segregation of duties. And, you know, you cannot have the person who brings in the money be the person who counts the money and the person who spends the money. There needs to be segregation in there. You know, the tax office, someone from the tax office couldn't come in. They're the ones who receive the money in mostly. It's not right for them to come in and also be the ones who spend it. You know, Clerk Colin and I had a conversation about this, you know, brief conversation about there needs to be segregation of duties. And, you know, the treasurer's office is a constitutional position, and in Curry, it is an elected position, and I firmly believe that it should stay that way. I don't believe it should be an appointed position. That leads to cronyism and all kinds of other bad things. But the treasurer's office needs to maintain its independence and stand alone from everybody else. I think that's one of the primary goals of having a constitutional treasurer, is to maintain that independence and the segregation that it requires. So.
It's apparently, though, a good system in Jefferson County, that they do have some internal controls that they're quite proud of and quite accountable to. And but I agree with you. I mean, because it works in one county doesn't mean it's going to work in another. But if there's ways to save money and even be more efficient and effective, you know, I think we got to take a look at that. So you'll be the first one I contact. If after further research, I feel like it's a valid area to potentially pursue.
I'd be welcome to sit down and talk with their people over there and find out more about how they do things. And, you know, I'm more than willing to listen. If somebody, my grandfather taught me when I was young, learn from lazy people because they know the best way to do everything. You know, and if I can find an easier way to do the job, then I'm all for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, commissioners?
I'm in favor of, you know, looking at, you know, getting a deputy treasurer.
Oh, we need to make a decision on it. You want to make a motion?
No, you don't need
No,
to. I don't
this is
think you
just
need to make a
discussion.
decision now. It would come up during the budget process. I believe I would put it in as a budget item, and it would be up to the commissioners and the budget committee to approve it as a budget item. But I don't believe that this board has any say over whether I hire somebody or not if it's a budgeted item.
If it's a new position, you don't think we have some say there?
I do not believe so. There's no more than
So
you
if
would.
it's budgeted, it's automatically a new position without board authorization. I need to research that a little bit, but, you know, I'll defer to your judgment for the time
You know,
being.
this board doesn't have any authority over the sheriff hiring or the clerk or the tax assessor's office. Once it's a budgeted item, it's, you know, the offices are independent of each other for a reason. So, you know, I'm just coming here more as a courtesy to the board today to let you know what my hopes are for this. So, thank you.
Thank
We
you
just hope
again.
you keep waking up every day, Dave. We
Yeah.
just hope that you keep waking up every day until we have a deputy that knows.
So do I, you know.
Best, then we don't care if you wake up.
You know, my wife is counting
No,
down.
not that we don't care.
My wife is counting down days till she can start a recall of me. So, you know.
Tell her she has to get in line.
Yeah, you know, she's designed signs and everything. So.
No, we wish you the best of health, and we're multi-motivated and very sincere on that.
Thank you.
Okay, 7B, order amending procedure to appoint Campos. Is this your item, Commissioner Herzog?
No, but,
I had
Yours, Director Rickert?
I had it
Thank
put
you.
back on the agenda. It's been here once or twice before. We don't have any consensus on it. So I think everybody kind of knows the ins and outs of it, and whether we want to pursue this or drop it, that's up to you. But It is something that has been brought up in the past, so.
Commissioner Pash.
This actually, to my understanding, was brought up, I think it was 2 meetings ago, and we asked to have it brought back as an order, which is now on your page here. And the planning of the order was discussed by the board and agreed to, I believe, unanimously by the board, of the new way that the camp hosts would be hired and or released.
No, I oppose. It was not unanimous. I think you're right. It was
Pulled
2
down
weeks ago.
You're right, you did oppose. It is on
Yeah.
here.
So, Commissioner Herzog, you have, I think you have participated in a couple of interviews, and you think you got a good system there, and it's, have we got some stability after we went through 3? I mean, the craziness of this is we've hired, in 2020, we hired 3 different camp hosts. And I hope we're beyond that, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'll just give you a quick update. I'm really satisfied with the, we have 2 camp hosts at Boyce Cope, and, you know, we talked about in executive session, which I got to be careful about what I can say, right? But anyway, that's what we talked about has turned out exceptionally well. So we have 2 park hosts right now and working together, and so that was that's a blessing for the county. And Boyce Cope is up and running and open for business, and I'm happy with the.
Somebody sent me a picture. There's a 60-foot motorhome in there. It looks like it's about 1 year old.
60-foot. Wow. That's.
Oh, I'm probably
Oh, okay.
exaggerating a little bit. I'm sorry.
All right.
You caught me on that. Good job. Commissioner Pash?
Well, I'm ready to make a motion whenever the chair is ready.
Thank you. The only thing I want the public to know, the reason I oppose this, well, there's several reasons, but I only need to communicate one, and that is the commissioners, if anything goes wrong, we have the liability. And so if we don't have a say in what takes place in a department like that, then we can be exposed, and we can have the county exposed. And, of course, you know, back in November, I'm living proof, and I made what I still to this day think was a very good and critical decision. So I'm glad to hear that you have participated in that interview. I still disagree that it shouldn't be a full board appointment or appointments, but yeah, I'm ready to move on, and that's all I really need to communicate. So, you ready for a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to repeal Order 20866, establishing an amended procedure to appoint and remove county park hosts.
Are you done? Second?
Further discussion? Call for the question. Staff Jeswood, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Opposed?
Motion carried unanimous. Opposed, I'm
That's
sorry.
all right.
Motion carried 2-1.
I was a little hesitant there. I'm going to read a resolution real quick here. Actually, this is something we need to decide today because this has to do with a supporting funding effort for the wastewater treatment facility, Brookings Harbor Port. Very excited about this. Congressman DeFazio, this is a chance to really show one of the Curry Ports a big-time amount of money. He's been working on this a long time. Like I said, we're really enthused about it. It's primarily for the planning. As you know, BC Fisheries, now Pacific Seafood, employs between 60 and 65 people there. But their days are numbered if we don't get them some help in wastewater. You know, the bottom line is if they have to pipe it clear out to Never Land in the ocean, which a lot of ports on the Oregon coast are doing, you're probably aware, it's just absolutely cost prohibitive. So I'm concerned about losing those jobs. I know the Port of Brookings Harbor is concerned about that. And this is a facility that could be a huge project for Curry County. So the resolution, I think it's important that I read, and it'll just take a moment. Whereas Oregon's 4th District Congressman Peter DeFazio is accepting applications for individual community funding projects within the 4th District of Oregon, and whereas the Port of Brookings Harbor desires to participate in the program to the greatest extent possible as a means of providing needed infrastructure improvements and enhancements, and whereas economic development in support of wastewater treatment plant is included in the vision of the Port of Brookings Harbor Strategic Business Plan, and whereas the pursuit of economic progress, support of the fishing fleet, and support for the tourism industry for the betterment of the citizens in Curry County, and whereas the commercial fishing industry is a cornerstone of the current economic base in the region and vital to the success of the maritime industry in Southern Oregon, and whereas the fish processing plant is a state-of-the-art facility, yes, not even 5 years old, supporting more than 60 high-paying positions and many other businesses in Curry County, and whereas the wastewater treatment plant is critical infrastructure that will sustain the future of the fish processing plant and can accommodate additional businesses and jobs for Curry County in support of the regional economy. Now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Curry County hereby supports Port of Brookings Harbor application for Congressman Peter DeFazio community funding projects within the 4th District of Oregon. Number 2, supporting Port of Brookings Harbor Vision, constructing a wastewater treatment plant for the betterment of the citizens and regional economy in Curry County. Discussion board.
I'm ready for a motion on it.
Me too.
That doesn't sound as excited as I was hoping. No, that's great. So yes, I'll entertain a motion, Commissioners.
Make a motion, we support the funding efforts of the wastewater treatment plant for Port of Brookings Harbor.
Second?
Second. Last chance for discussion. Oh, this is good news. I hope it has impact, and I believe it will with DeFazio's office. Call for the question, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
I think, let's see, what else do we have before we take a break here? Should we do a break now? I'm open to suggestions there. Okay. It is 10:02. Please be back here by 10:15. We don't want to keep Jay Trost waiting. D, initiation of a South Coast Parks and Recreation District Special District. And I don't know if that is Commissioner Herzog or Director of Operations Rickert.
Director of Operations, Rickert.
Okay.
So a few weeks ago, the Brookings Harbor Community Recreation Task Force presented the possibility of a possibility of a formation of a Parks and Recreation District. So they had contacted me asking me to put this on the agenda this week. They've sent over all the documents that you have in the packet, but it's at this point up for discussion whether to move forward with it or not.
Commissioner Pash?
If we could, Jay Trost is here, as you recognized, Chair. I'd like to ask Mr. Trost to step up.
I was just going to do that.
And just if you would, because I was at that meeting on Monday night, announce what you stated at the meeting on Monday night for the board, just so the board's clear
Sure.
where we are with things. That'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'd also like to note that Bonnie L. and Cameron McVeigh are here as task force members as well. They're on this Brookings Harbor Task Force. And I'm sure they would be willing to answer questions you may have for them.
Well, you brought some big guns. Yeah.
CCOs. So we presented to the Brookings City Council on, yesterday, or Monday, apologize, Monday, the resolution to include the boundaries of the city of Brookings. It's a required document. In your packet, it would be Exhibit C. I do have the signed copy with me, so I would assume you probably would like that.
Okay. If you got you went to the trouble to print them.
No, I just brought it.
Well, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So you handled it to the right person.
So Commissioner Pash, do you want me to do a quick overview,
If you,
kind of like I did with the city council?
That'd be great, yeah.
Sure,
Great
sure.
idea.
So, this originated with the Friends of Brookings Harbor Aquatic Club over 10 years ago. They began working on a project to initially enclose the pool to provide 24 or 365-day access to swimming opportunities. There was a lot of different obstacles that came into play. They ended up meeting with the city, and at which time at that time the city manager was Gary Milliman. Met with the aquatic club, the Friends of the Brookings Harbor Aquatic Club, and they created a joint task force. The task force was designed to bring in stakeholders, such as stakeholders from All Care, Advanced Health, a member of the city staff, and no less than 2 members of the Friends of the Aquatic Center. And the goal of this task force was to identify the most reasonable way to provide, to bring a rec center into reality in the Brookings Harbor community. So initially, there was a lot of work that went out towards identifying potential grants. Actually, about the task force was developed in 2015. So I'd say, for the first four to 4.5 years, a lot of it was just grant driven, trying to identify ways to get a grant to pay for this. And it was a lot of dead ends. So we started to look at the option of creating a local government to fund this project. So we started down that road. Then we retained an attorney from the LCOG, the Local Council of Governments, Layton Council of Governments, and to try to help us navigate this process, right? It was, none of us have been through this process. I don't know the last time a special district was actually formed in the county, but I'm sure it hasn't been recent. So we started navigating that. About a year and a half ago, we started going down that road and looking at that possibility. And so we had made a decision as a task force to move forward with this, do the best we can to get it in front of the voters and let the community decide if this rec center is something that they would like, and if this rec district is something that they would find value in. And so, that's essentially what we are at this point. We're just working to be the best catalyst we can to get this in front of the voters, to allow them the opportunity to decide if this is what they want.
Commissioner Herzog?
Well, I think, we've met as council and the clerk's office, and Jay has added some stuff, or allowed us to add stuff to the whereases in this proposal, the resolution, as far as, so if the county, right now, if this district was formed and there's an election in November, and it's probably going to be one of the only things on the ballot, because it's an odd year. There is a fee if it,
Correct.
Worst case scenario, if it didn't pass, which I'm praying it does pass, there's a fee. And he said we could add a whereas, there's money in an account somewhere that would pay that. So that, and I shared that with Anthony, and so I'm a huge proponent of it, and so.
Well, thank you. I'm going to go to. You've been kind of quiet so far today, and we're not going to allow that to be a habit.
Fair enough.
And I know you've been spending a lot of time on this.
So yeah, I did want to talk a little bit about what this all means. The board. Oh,
Take off your mask if you want.
I think that's probably the problem. All right. Kind of want to go over what it actually means for the board to say that we're going to initiate the process. It's not just the board giving their consent or accepting, the proposal. It's actually saying that the county is going to take over the responsibilities of moving this forward. And that includes all the processes and, going through making sure it gets on the ballot and that, the ballot title is correct, and that we work with the Department of Revenue to make sure that the taxes get set up. And there's also the cost that Commissioner Herzog was talking about if it does fail, that would actually come back on the county. And I think we could work out some agreement with them if they are willing to cover it, but that's something we really need to look into to make sure it's pretty solid. But as things sit right now, there's still some steps I think we need before we have this initiation order in place. One of the statutory requirements is the land description. And I know that I think your attorney came up with that from another district, but it's something that we would need the assessor to look at to make sure that it is still accurate and correct. I would also like to just spend some time to make sure that I kind of have all my legal ducks in a row before we move forward. So kind of my thoughts today is instead of, the board voting on actually having initiation order signed, maybe the board can decide if this is something we want to move forward on. And then in the next 2 weeks, I can work with the assessor and get everything ready and get that order actually ready for signature. If that makes sense.
I don't know how we could add anything better to that, in my opinion. Excuse me.
I just want to voice my some thoughts on this. Jay and I have talked privately on this on Monday, and we talked again this morning on it. And I am totally in favor of this. As many know, I'm not a proponent of special districts in perpetuity. So, and this is something that County Council might be able to look into as well. Jay brought to my attention this morning that an attorney that they've hired says that we cannot put a sunset clause in the language of a special district. The language that I'm actually reading from an ORS this morning, and I'm not going to quote the entire ORS, but it does say that there is a way to put sunset clauses in special districts if the district ends. Let's say we did a 30-year GO bond, as you spoke of. Okay, the district in 30 years of the termination of that GO bond, the district sunsets. And then a year prior to that, if you need to continue that district, then it goes in front of a new board and says, okay, this district's going to sunset in a year, let's reinitiate that district. And yeah, it would have to be another process through a vote. But for me to have a district that just continues in perpetuity, as I've said publicly, and goes up 3%, it basically doubles every 20 years, that's just a blank check for a district. And with a county that already has, I believe, the second most districts in our state, first or second, for a county of only 23,000 people, that's a little frightening for me. Another point I'd like to bring up that I also spoke to Jay about is I believe after testimony this past week with the state, I believe we are going to be first or second in line for a new courthouse. And that will inevitably be a GO bond as well. It'll have to go in front of the voters. And I believe that it is imperative that this county get a new courthouse. With that, we have hired a firm to do a feasibility study, not only on a courthouse, but on a new sheriff's department and jail. And if anyone has been in our jail, I would say at a minimum, it is extremely unsafe. And that's the kindest word I could use for it. Is it extremely unsafe, not only to inmates, but even more so to our deputies. So if we're going to do a GO bond for our courthouse, we are looking at also replacing the jail and the sheriff's department, and that would either have to be done through a GO bond or a muni bond, which is to be looked at in the future. The reason I bring all this up is because if we're going to get these things on a ballot, and you're going to start to say, okay, we want this money for this and we want that money for that, the public may look at it as just so many things on the ballot, money, 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 no to all of it. Where I think if we strategically, as Jay and I spoke this morning, were to plan this as to how it would happen, there's a possibility of it working, but for me, as one commissioner, one of the things that I promised I would do as in my tenure as a commissioner was to correct the problems in our courthouse. and our jail and sheriff's department. So that is at the forefront of my thoughts. Do I think a district is needed or a recreation center is needed for the families and kids in this county? Absolutely. As you know, I provide recreation for kids as well. So it's something that, especially right now with what we're going through, it puts an emphasis on how badly it is needed. But I think getting there is a completely different animal. And again, my efforts and emphasis will be on correcting the courthouse and jail issues, and an ancillary, the sheriff's department as well. So those are my comments, Chair.
Thank you.
And can I add?
Sure.
Just from our conversation this morning. So what we were looking at, because I want to provide a timeline, not only for you, but for the public to kind of understand what this might look like. So if we are able to get this on the ballot November 2nd, and if it is voted through, that would initiate the formation of the district, but the district obviously would have to be formed, right? So then we would have to be identifying the electeds who are going to manage that district. And the district wouldn't receive funds until the following November. At which point, then they would have to look at, hiring staff, getting prepared, because so the realistic timeline for a GO bond to go forward for the rec center portion of this, the earliest I could see is 2023. It would probably be closer to 2024. So if the timing on some of these different projects are aligned, that we can ensure that the ballot doesn't get clogged with too many asks at once.
And it would be a very similar timeline on the courthouse as well, and we'll get more information on that. I think we have a meeting with Tom Langford later this month, and we'll have a similar time, or we'll have more information on a timeline. But once that starts to happen, it'll go fast. But I would imagine, if we were to get that on a ballot for the courthouse, that GO bond we'd look at as about 2 years, and then breaking ground in 2 years if we get funding, and then moving forward immediately after that. So I'm guessing probably 3 to 5 years for everything to be through.
Commissioner Herzog, anything else?
Well, I'm tickled that Commissioner Chris is supporting this, because I know his dislike for special districts. And I think the fact that it's Pistol River South, roughly is the
Boundaries.
area boundaries, helps. So it's a little easier saying, well, it's South County. But I think it's a great deal. I would ask Shelley Denny, she's in the audience, time-wise, Shelley, if we delay this another 2 weeks till the, as council has said, another 2 weeks till the next meeting, would that be okay with, as far as Jay's timeline and the city's timeline?
Shelley
May I,
Denny, Chief
Deputy County Clerk, Shelley Denny, pull the microphones down a little bit there. The one on your, there, thank you.
So the formation does need to sit for 180 days before the election, so that's May 7th. I don't know if you have to have all your hearings done before that date. That would be something for County Council Pope to answer. But yes, the ballot measure would have to be filed with our office by May 7th.
And there is two public
May
meetings. There is two public meetings that are required. They have to be held after the initiation order is signed. It has to be within 30 to 50 days after that. And then there has to be a second meeting, another 30 to 50 days after that. So I think, I don't think the timeline working for this November ballot, it might not be possible, but, I can check to see if there's any other ways we could do that, but it would appear not.
Thank you. You mentioned you'd probably be able to work on this for a couple of weeks. It sounds like a lot of time, but with the different projects you have, is that realistic? Would you need more time, and how would that affect them? I don't think any one of I'm not speaking for the board, but I doubt that any one of us want a message to go out that we're not going to do anything and everything we can to help on this. So that's kind of a loaded question.
I think for myself, the things that I need to do, 2 weeks is reasonable, and I think we could get everything done. But I can't speak for the assessor's office, because they also are going to have to look and approve this, because that needs to be done before the order is signed as well.
Also, you mentioned, define for the public, well, the board too, you mentioned that if the board took the lead on this, we would be responsible. Where does that approach end? And then we're kind of out of the responsibility portion of it.
I think it would be all the way through the election, and then after the
Okay.
election, there is some, I think there's a meeting, another public meeting, or I need to look into this a bit more, but there is one more thing we need to do basically that sets up the district. So it would be through the whole process basically until the election of the district officers and stuff, and then we would be done.
Commissioner Herzog?
I know that it says we will be the initiators or whatever, but I know that the Recreation District, Jay and Bonnie and Cam and all those folks, Dr. Layton, they're not just going to, they're going to help us through, they'll do whatever they can to support us. So I just wanted to make that clear that even though it has to go through the board and is, then the county is initiating it, they will not leave us without lots of help. So, and provide everything that we need to move this forward.
Can we appoint you Commissioner Liaison on this project?
Sure, you bet.
I think that wasn't it was sort of tongue-in-cheek, but no, I think if you're willing to do that, that would be very beneficial.
No, I think as far as, I am liaison to the parks, the county parks, and just a huge supporter. I was a lifeguard at this pool when I was 15 years old, and it's been a real boon that we have a pool for 50 years and we get to use it 3 months a year. One of the best things ever was, though, last year, Jay fell in with his clothes on, jacket, cell phone.
How did we miss that, huh?
I was had to rescue him, but.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have an opportunity to learn together, and I hope that's the case. Kind of pull everybody together. Deputy Clerk Denny, did you have anything else? Any other questions for her? Thanks for coming in today.
Shelley.
Very much appreciated. So, Board, I think we have a direction here. We're going to, I presume, put it on the agenda for the 28th. And if something changes that you need more time, I'm just a little bit concerned on that, not overly, but if you need more time, then we'll go to our first meeting in May. Okay? So we do have agreement on that, though, I think. Okay?
Jay, you're good with?
Mr. Trost?
Yeah, so what we'll have to do is we'll probably have to weigh out the responsibilities on the public meetings that need to be held. Our understanding is there needs to be one public meeting that's held within 30 to 50 days. And I think that one has to be done prior to the May 7th. And then I think a second one is done after. So, as long as we can meet the timelines, otherwise we may have to start fast forwarding this with signatures.
Yeah.
So, we'll weigh it out. Would have been, this would have definitely assisted with us getting jump-started on the marketing campaign and everything else. But if it's possible still to do that in the 2-week time frame, then yes, we'd love that, absolutely. We just want to make sure that we don't bump up against a timeline that we can't meet.
Commissioner Pash, I was going to call on you anyway.
Well, I'm just wondering if council learns in this next couple of days that it's not going to be possible, if you could let Mr. Trost know immediately, and then you could jumpstart and go ahead and go with the signature process instead.
Yeah.
And that way that gets you moving as quickly as you can.
That'd be great.
I just want to say this is it's a complex area of law, and it's something that doesn't happen very often, so I could be mistaken about those meeting dates too. So I will definitely check in that and get that back to you by the end of the day and let you know what it's looking like.
Mm-hmm. And if you feel free to reach out to Christy Munson, that's who represents us at LCOG. So.
Well, good work to you and the board, Jay Trost, and hopefully you go away with a feeling that we're positive any way we can help on this.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Board, just a little housekeeping matter here. When we had Jackie Antunes from Wally's House talk a little bit about April being Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. We had a resolution I would like to read real quick, and I overlooked that. So I want to get board approval if we can, so I'll read it real quickly here. In the matter of resolution proclaiming the month of April as Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. We need to change the language on that just a little bit, Staff Jesuit. Not a huge thing, but probably should happen. Whereas nearly 5 children die every day in America from abuse and neglect, and whereas a high number of children ages 0 to 17 in Curry County, Oregon, are victims of neglect and abuse each year. And whereas President, it says Donald, Joe Biden has proclaimed the month of April as National Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. I think that actually started with President Trump a year ago. I could be wrong on that, but I'm fairly sure. Whereas a victory over child abuse and neglect will not be achieved without the support of the entire community and recognition of the importance of awareness, raising to decrease incidents of abuse and to support child abuse victims and their families. And whereas each April, Curry County's Wally's House, Child Abuse Intervention Center, and other supporters of the child advocacy and abuse prevention movement ask the community to join the outreach efforts to reduce and prevent child abuse. Now, therefore, the Board of Curry County Commissioners hereby resolves to proclaim April 2021 to be Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. That is the correct language. Thank you. I don't need to read any more. So I think this probably should have been a presentation and an action item. In essence, it was. So I need a motion. Yes.
I would support this if it were just a county. I personally would like the whereas and the president's proclamation line taken out, please.
Yeah, where is that Donald Biden thing?
Well, either one, if it's Donald Trump or Biden, on that line. As far as this is a county action and not a, I have personal reasons, but that's just my personal opinion.
I'm very much in favor of that.
Okay.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to vote as amended then, the resolution as amended?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Pash. Any further discussion? Staff Jesuit, the bold just below the now therefore should be reflected in the title upper left-hand corner. Simple change. Thank you, sir. Call for the question, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
We're going to skip over the tourism appointee and go to the emergency management coordinator. We got some important people here, and Sheriff Ward and Corporal McDonald. I just had a couple questions. Thanks for being here today, by the way.
You're welcome. It's Captain McDonald. I haven't been a corporal
What did I
since I
say?
was like 6. Yeah. But anyways, that's all right.
When did you get demoted?
I don't know. Boss hasn't told me yet. So.
If you're corporal, we can call you Radar?
Well, nah.
No, you're making it worse for me, buddy. I'm so sorry.
All right, so what can I help you with?
No, just I want to make sure that I understand that this is a full-time position.
Yes?
And the reason I ask that, Captain, is because part of the reason we moved over to the sheriff's office, because there's several qualified, I mean, the combined years experience was a pretty impressive number in emergency management. So I wondered if that would affect the budget, and if you're pretty strong on that with, frankly.
With it being full-time? Yes, yeah. Very strong on it. The beauty of it being in the sheriff's office, or actually being back at the sheriff's office, is that there are people in the sheriff's office that know what that person should be doing, and there's appropriate supervision for that person. The person can't just go out off the reservation and do whatever they choose or whatever they think should be done. So that is the beauty, is you have somebody that actually knows what emergency management is supervising the emergency manager. So,
can I ask what your experience is in that?
I was the county emergency manager in another county for 6.5 years. And then as the elected sheriff of that county, I was actually the emergency management director, and I had a coordinator below me. So for 19 years of experience in emergency management, yes. And then Sergeant Jordan White with the sheriff's office, His former position in Montana, he did emergency management in Montana. It's all the same. So yeah, we have two guys in the sheriff's office that have a background that are in management or supervision responsibilities, and we'll hire somebody that actually has experience or has the knowledge and the to be an actual emergency manager and to take care of and make the relationships and do the things that need to be done. So,
And the sheriff doesn't have a lot of background in that category, right?
just through trial and experience and being around it for 30 plus years, yes, he does.
No, when Don Kendall left, I was a little long-faced because the sheriff didn't take, the department didn't take that responsibility back. But I've been very supportive in this clear through, and I think it's the best scenario.
This is Sheriff Ward. We had emergency service when Don Kendall left. We didn't give it up till about a year ago when there were some issues with the emergency coordinator program position. I have overseen emergency management for 30 years. Actually, as a supervisor in 2003, and in 2005, I was the search and rescue coordinator, worked directly with emergency management, overseeing the program for several years. So I do have a lot of experience.
And the job description that we presented is what the job description already has been. All I did was change it back to the sheriff's office, and I took some management responsibilities and some budgetary, actually preparing the budget. That person won't do that. They'll have input into it, but that gets done. That's part of my responsibilities, so there's oversight on that also. So
I'm very glad to hear about the oversight. And you notice my comment got the sheriff to the microphone. That was my intent. Okay.
So I would encourage the board to adopt the job position description, because without that, I've got a number of applications. I haven't even picked them up yet, but until I have an actual approved job description, I can't hire anybody, and I'm currently doing all the work, and there's a number of important things that are going on right now that, one, I'm keeping them going and working on them, but I would love to have somebody that can donate or, to put all of their time towards it, not donate, but, I'm just doing it between all my other duties and responsibilities, which I can handle it, but like I said, I would much rather get somebody in that position that's qualified and get them up and running and let them move forward, making, like I said, building the relationships and taking care of the projects that are out there. One of them is the county's natural hazard mitigation plan. Without that, nothing moves forward as far as pre-disaster dollars through FEMA. So if that doesn't get redone this year, then, so we're in the process of doing that. That's the biggest thing, the biggest project going on right now. And like I said, so I would encourage you to please adopt the job description so that we can move forward.
And also the Curry Wildfire Prevention Plan.
That's not in the plan right now. That's not in the works.
But I'm sure you're going to be nervous about following through with that.
Okay, that plan was written in 2008.
Yeah.
It does need to be updated, but that's not in the works right now. That is something that will become something that gets done. The natural hazard mitigation plan is the number one thing that needs to get done. The fire-wise and all the rest of that. Fire gets way more attention than anything else. If there's somebody out there that hasn't heard about defensible space around their home yet, then they've got their head buried in the sand and they haven't paid attention to anything that's happened in this county in the past 3 summers. So, but that plan in conjunction with some other agencies and entities in this county will get updated, but it's not getting updated right now.
Gotcha. No, that's good. We know we have some more emergencies coming, right? Did you have something?
No, I just want to make the motion, we get this done.
I'm ready.
Second?
Any further discussion? Call for the question. Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Darn.
You're welcome, sir.
Captain Corporal.
God, I'm never going to live that down. I'm never going to live it. Tourism appointee, who's in charge of that today? Director Rickard?
So there was a resignation in the Tourism Promotions Committee, so we have a vacancy. And so attached to this ARS, you have a an application for Samuel Waller. So that's the board's decision to approve it.
The original had two different applicants, so we're just voting on one, correct?
I only have one.
Okay. Yeah, originally it was, yeah.
So moved.
Only one.
Good job.
Second?
Any discussion at all?
Oh, yeah, hold on. JD.
Reads that Klaus, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, is he's the person who's running unopposed, so to speak, and then it's a choice between Ms. Van Zandt and Mr. Waller.
This is why I'm confused.
Okay.
So we need to take a little time, make sure we know what we're doing here. Thank you, Staff Jesuit. Yeah, my original information had, I don't know, I probably somehow deleted it or something, but...
I don't have another application.
I don't
just
have
the
it.
one.
But originally, we did have Lori Van Zandt and Sam Waller, and then the one person from North County. And I'm going to abstain if I have that correct, the sheer number of people they've employed in their life of businesses. I can't bring myself to vote for one and against the other. So I'm going to abstain on that. And I will support the North County person. Yes.
Okay, so I'm seeing on here assigned seats for tourism, one South County and one at-large seat. And I only have two people for those seats. One was Mr. Sam Waller, and the other one is Lori Van Zandt. So that's why I was moving the way I moved, was the South County would be Sam Waller, and the at-large would be Lori Van Zandt.
We have a person from North County, correct?
I didn't see the person from North County. That's what I was saying, I didn't see.
It's the person named Klaus, I'm sorry I can't pronounce your last name, is from South County. And then Ms. Van Zandt and Mr. Waller are...
For the Central.
At large.
Oh. So it's not North County. Forgive me there. Is that correct? As far as you know? Okay. So we have two people for the same spot, which is the at-large position.
Right.
Okay? But that's not reflected in my ARS here, agenda routing slip. So how does the board want to proceed here? I've said enough on it, I think. Director Rickert, did you have something?
No.
Okay.
Klaus is the only one from the South County.
Okay.
We need to do these in a separate action, correct? So I'll make a motion that we appoint Klaus as the tourism promotion representative for South County.
Committee member, thank you.
Do we not have a motion and a second already on the, or did?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I will draw that motion,
All right.
yeah.
So we did have another motion,
We
yes.
did.
Okay, you want a second on withdrawal?
Yeah.
Okay, those in favor? Aye. We're
Commissioner
withdrawing the
Pash.
motion.
Oh, okay.
The original
Well,
motion.
we didn't have a vote, though, did we? We didn't vote on
No.
it. We just had a vote.
So do you want to clear it up, or do you want to just
Okay,
wing
so
it?
the first motion I withdrew.
Thank
The
you.
second motion is to appoint Klaus, and I'm sorry, what's his last name for the record?
Giellisch.
Lysich?
Yeah, something.
For the
Mr. Klaus.
Tourism and Promotions Committee for South County.
Second?
Any further discussion? Just clarification, we're voting just for South County, one person. Call for the question, Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
And I'll make a motion to appoint Lori Van Zandt for the Tourism Committee person for at-large.
I second that.
Further discussion, board. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Abstain?
Motion carried 2-0.
Thank you. Moving along, board. Good job. Let's see, we are at Is it just the minutes now?
No, we got 6F.
6F and 6J.
6F, aren't we out of consent agenda
But that's after executive session.
on the building official, right?
We've got 6F, 6K, and 6B.
6F is going to executive session.
6K then, you're right. 6K
So,
was to move to 7G.
I think the only one that's left is the 7H minutes before we go into executive session. Do I have that right, Bill? I'll double check.
I've got 6, is it J or K has been moved to 7G.
Which will be after executive session. Same with
Yes.
the building official.
Okay, all these are after
We are just
executive.
on the minutes.
Gotcha. All right.
Real quick, HR Director Swift, did you have something you needed to step up to the microphone for? Okay, thanks for being here, though. I should have recognized you earlier. So 7H on the minutes, guys. The only thing I have to correct on that, do I have the board's okay to move on that agenda item as amended? Okay, thank you. On public comments, it was a comment by Citizen Barnes, spoke about Sequoia Consulting and observed it's a waste of county money. Now, we didn't ever authorize any money, so just a slight change. What I'm requesting there is a slight change of communication or language or whatever that basically says would be a waste of county money. I think that's what he said, and I think it would be a better representation of that day. And the reason I'm making somewhat of an issue on this is because that was my third failure on January 6th to get a grant writer. I worked very hard to bring before the board Sequoia Consulting that had tremendous background, high reference and recommendations from two counties, which are Linn County and Lincoln County, and they are years ahead of us now in what they received due to the work of Sequoia Consulting, and not to overlook Park Resources, and the high recommendation I got from former City Administrator Gary Mellman. And I came to the board and said, hey, I'm getting to know this guy. I really trust him. And so they've both gone away, and we have lost money. And I'm disappointed to have to report that. And it's still not too late to get a grant writer. Here we are, 5 months later, 6 months later, and still no grant writer. We're losing out. So I'm really baffled by that. But anyway, what I want from the board is a change of the minutes that David Barnes spoke about Sequoia Consulting and observed it would be a waste of money. I didn't want the public to think we'd already allocated some money and poorly spent it. Commissioner Pash?
Well, I think the minutes are to reflect exactly what was said. How Mr. Barnes or anyone intends this board to reiterate or to construe that is something different. But the minutes should reflect exactly what was said verbatim. That's what I understand minutes to be for.
So if we're going to do that, we're back
clearing the record.
I'm sorry, but we're back to the same thing. So if we're going to go word for word, then the minutes will be back to, in my view, several pages. So what I'm looking for the board, if you want to make a motion, or if you don't, of course, that's fine, we can leave the language like it is. I just disagree. I don't think that's what he said. I could go back to the video, not necessary. I wish we had a grant writer, though. Shocking to me. So we can let this go, or, we spent 4 minutes, that's fine, but I don't think we need to spend any more time on it. What do you think, Commissioner?
I'm good.
Okay, so we're going to leave the minutes as they are. Yes. Word for word. That's policy was established in December. Okay, I think we are through with action items. Yes?
We need to vote on that. A formal vote to accept it into the consent agenda because we pulled it out.
Are you making a motion?
So moved.
Second.
What is the motion?
To leave the minutes as stated.
Thank you, Commissioner. And you second?
Second.
I'm sure we have more discussion. Okay. Call for the question, please, Staff Jesuit.
Mr. Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
No.
Motion carried 2-1.
So did we get all of the consent items? I mean, we're sitting here at 11 o'clock. I think board and staff have done pretty good. Did we possibly, however, overlook something?
No.
You're happy? I think we're good. Commissioner updates? No, director's report, my apologies.
I don't have anything this week.
No, that would be me next. I'm going to see if my arms are long enough to reach that. Oh, I'll never reach it.
That'll get it for you.
I know he's got long arms. Thank you very much. Today, or this week, April 8th through May 8th, is Sound the Alarm through the Red Cross. Boy, in the Chetco Bar and Klondike fire, especially the Chetco Bar, I remember the incredible hearts and work of the Red Cross. They were everywhere. And I just want to read a little bit of what is categorized here. 7 people in the U.S. die in a home fire every day. And you know, Captain McDonald, we brought up the Firewise and how important that was. I sent out a memo to just about everyone I could think of the other day. Hey, we've got too much to fire season, so get your homes ready. Anything combustible around the base of your home especially, or on the roof, take care of it. Excuse me. The Red Cross responds to 2 to 3 home fires every day in the Cascade region. They've just got an incredible record. Again, they're always there. The Sound Alarm campaign begins April 8th and culminates on May 8th, World Red Cross Day. Skipping a little bit here, thank you for the support for life-saving Sound the Alarm campaign. The Red Cross responds to more home fires than any other disaster, and most are preventable. I want to say that again. The Red Cross responds to more home fires than any other disaster, and most are preventable. I look forward to working together. This is from Carissa Hedich, local here, and then Judy in Brookings, South County, just does a great job. Their numbers here, if anybody wants that, how to Firewise your home, you can contact me or one of the board members, or go to our website. I'm just proud to be able to, just to give them some really, especially as we get closer to fire season, some kudos there. The Red Cross, been there for years and years. Couple of awards I want to mention. You know, we talked about Brock Smith 6 months ago when he was one of 2 winning the entire country. And I'm going to ad-lib here, but this is Sean Gibbs, who I've got to know the last 4 years. Now, I took the picture, so forgive me. I didn't cut off the top of the photo there, but it's called the 40-40 Award. So it's if you're under 40 and you're in economic development in the U.S. and you have had good, effective leadership and economic development things to brag about, this guy is, I don't know how he must work 70 hours a week. And so we're just proud that he was one of the 40, under 40 in the U.S. And he took over for
I wish I was.
Huh?
I wish I was under 40.
I just say, do we fit that category? He basically took over for John Hitt. There was one interim there that did a good job too, but not like this guy and John Hitt did. John Hitt only became our part-time county administrator back in early 18 and just did a super job, but he came to us from the South Coast Development Council, which is basically Coos and Curry County. And so I just want to give a shout out to Sean and encourage him to keep up the good work. He, you know, Curry County doesn't contribute anything, but he works very close with our Economic Development Department, and I'm just proud to be able to congratulate him. Quickly here, way to go, Sean. The next one is Teresa Haga. She is the Executive Director of Coos Curry Douglas Business Development. Her and her staff, she just maintains terrific work for Curry County, and she won the President's Award and was so noted by Todd Gergen, Coos Bay Chamber of Commerce. And you know, it's never delays in calling us back here. Yes, she's headquartered in Douglas County, her and her staff, but most of our meetings are in Coos County, well, before COVID, so now they're Zoom. But they run very good meetings, very effective, again, an excellent staff, and they have a revolving loan fund. They are just, she greatly deserved the award, just proud to recognize her achievements as well. And I think the board knows I was on this committee back in the late 80s when it was first established, or this board. So thanks, Teresa. Good job. Tracy Loomis, some of you may recall, my goodness, she was here in council huddle hour after hour to rescue that $1.6 million on the Brookings Head Start program, and I just can't say enough good about them. Next 4 years, as it stands now, my 4 highest priorities. I'm going to go over some bills here in just a minute, and I think that's going to be all I'm going to need to do today. My number 1 priority is going to be to stop the wasteful spending that I see continuing on here, and I don't think that can be overstated. It's not something that I want to beat anybody up on, but it's got to stop, and I can be very specific and will be. Number 2, in working with AOC, the assessing of the Curry County water needs and planning, we have House Bill 2251. I'll just read a little bit of this. The 4 bills I'm going to reference here have a very good chance of passing, and why they're important to Curry County. 2251, Regional Water Planning Bill, sponsored by Representative Mark Owens. He just left Curry County, a commissioner position in Eastern Oregon, and he is really doing well in the legislature. Again, Representative Mark Owens. The bill would include the following 3 things. Section 1, the Oregon Water Resources Department, OWRD, shall provide basin coordination staff support to work through complex water issues and help implement basin and agency priorities in the priority basins. Well, we're the Rogue Basin, and so you've heard me mention the 100-year water vision that Oregon Water Resources and the state has put forth, and it gets very restrictive, and it's going to be incredibly important to us to plan ahead. This bill is not so much about funding, it's about planning and assessing our needs. And goodness, that goes with our forests, our fish, our watershed repair, recovery after the 2 fires we've had. But working with the local communities, and the sooner we get started, the better. And it's not going to be fun work because there's a lot of players. But if we don't, the state of Oregon will tell us how to manage our water, and it has to do with development and everything. So that bill, I think, is 2251. Yeah, and I think it's got a good chance to pass. So my number 3 priority for the next couple of years, subject to change, we don't know what's coming down the road, but I think obviously is the Rogue Siskiyou Fire Training Center. I want to talk just a little bit about House Bill 2722, creates Land Use and Wildfire Policy Advisory Committee. I think that's huge. Requires departments to report to interim committee of the Legislative Assembly no later than February 2022 regarding possible means for implementing final recommendations produced by should be the Governor's Council on Wildfire Response. And so obviously I'm going to be watching that real close. Again, two months from fire season, a lot happening in that world. I'm telling everybody, yeah, we're going to have a cold fire season and a hot visitor season. I hope that remains true. So 2251, a very important bill, and again, I think that has a good chance to pass. Number 3, Number 4, offshore wind production, House Bill 3375. I'll read a little bit of that. That's David Brock Smith's bill. My Eastern Oregon comrades weren't too impressed, but we're slowly but surely winning them back on the importance of this bill. It probably has the best chance of passing. And, I'll just read this part and it'll help everybody understand why I'm enthused about this, why I think it has tremendous merit. The entire state needs power. We're at the bottom, as you have said before, we're at the bottom of the extension cord, and the price of power is going to raise, so we need to be ready. And this is the planning process, whereas floating offshore wind turbines can be located in much greater depths and further from the shore than fixed bottom offshore wind turbines, and can be designed to minimize conflicts with multiple benefits to Oregon's fishing communities. And The Legislative Assembly finds that Oregon offshore wind holds tremendous potential and promise for this state to diversify its energy portfolio. The western part of the United States, California, Oregon, Washington, are at least 10 years behind the eastern part of the country, and Europe is way ahead of the eastern part of the U.S. It is marine renewable. Oregon has an opportunity to participate in a growing global market by contributing to the development of the nascent offshore wind energy supply chain, an intergovernmental task force led by the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. I'm on a lot of those calls, learning a lot, and gives local communities a chance to participate with the federal government. Has re-engaged and is expected to reveal offshore wind call areas in 2021 for the development of offshore floating wind energy within the federal waters of the Oregon coast. Oregon has an opportunity to participate in holistic West Coast planning for the strategic integration of floating offshore wind energy. I could read more, but the rationale behind, at least, and thanks to the board, a year and a half ago, signed a resolution to explore offshore alternative energy, and this is a very good bill, very good chance of passing. We're Curry County, Coos County, with the winds we have here, my gosh, yesterday, it's that north wind, and these are 25, 30 miles, well, not quite 30 miles, 28 miles out, they're 1,000 feet high, tremendous economic, energy, employment, it's in the environmental issues were definitely worked out in the eastern part of the United States and Europe. So one more I started to mention, and then on the Fire Training Center, we have a very, say a prayer for me, okay, because we have a very important meeting on the 19th, and that's, we have an opportunity to talk to all the Oregon funders, and that's Wild Rivers Community Fund, the Advanced Health, Humboldt Area Foundation, All Care Health, United Way. Did you catch that, Mr. McVeigh? I'm sure you'll be on that call. The Gordon Elwood Foundation, of course, the two bigger ones, Oregon Community Foundation, the Ford Family Foundation. And I just got a call from Rocky Barrows. By the way, Rocky spelled R-O-Q-U-E. And, you know, this is, I just want to say something really positive about the Ford Family Foundation. Back when timber was king, you know, Douglas County is a timber capital of the world. They have 600 and some million in their foundation that they are so community minded, and that's because they manage their forest from that family, the Ford family. Alan Ford is still working at 78, by the way. They manage their timber so well so that they can provide for their schools and their communities and their roads, and money's coming back to the county for law enforcement. And of course, with the fires, we've lost a lot of that. But to see how they have managed their capital and their resources is just a tremendous breath of fresh air. And we're making progress. Oh, by the way, the Wild Rivers Coast Alliance, too, the Banded Dunes. So as they continue to manage well, we have a chance to, we're asking for $3 million. And there's just been a lot of good team members on this, and I'm very excited. And so maybe we'll have some good news within a month or so. But, yeah, big meeting on Thursday. That's all I have. Thank you, Board. Did I say Thursday the 19th? I'm sorry. So, Mr. Pash, Commissioner, are you next? No, you're next.
So just a couple things to report. The House bill, the broadband bill, moved ahead. Goes to, I'm not sure how all this works. I just know that it went through something, and it's on to the next thing, which is was a good to hear, especially for Coos Curry Electric and all of Curry County with fiber to everybody who wants. Every Coos Curry Electric member will have the opportunity to have fiber to their home. And this broadband bill was a what's
Ziply or
no, it's Beacon broadband, but this was I can't think of the word. On the polls you have somebody help me out here. It is Transformer? No, it's
repeaters.
Nope, it's the right to be on those poles.
Oh, okay.
Right away.
Right away.
Leave you go.
Yeah, right away. So anyway, sorry about that. And
It's okay.
then, I did meet, and that's good news, and it's moving on and will be voted on sometime. And I was out of the county last weekend and met another county commissioner in Grant County, and it's been said I need to get more involved in AOC, and I don't have a thing against AOC. I'm a Curry County guy. I don't like meetings just for the joy of having a meeting. So, but I stepped out of my comfort zone and went to their county courthouse and met a gentleman who's actually a judge and a commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
They have 2 part-time commissioners and a judge commissioner. Very nice man. So that's all I have.
Well, way to go. I mean, and I can assure you, and I've mentioned this before, AOC does not have meetings that aren't really critical. And just like the relationship you just had there, and that experience you had, there's so much benefit to that. And I just encourage you, and thanks for the recognition on broadband. Did you see their new Beacon's new website, by the way? It is really neat.
So groundbreaking tomorrow at I'll be at the Brookings office on Railroad at 10 o'clock. Beacon Broadband, we're breaking, I don't know what we're going to do, cut a ribbon or something. Break a wire. Hopefully not break a wire. Connect a wire, but it's starting, and it's going to benefit Coos and Curry County. I just can't
It's
say
gigantic. It is.
I just can't say enough about it. I mean,
There's gonna be
Agnes.
some extra money, too.
Agnes is going to have, fiber to every member that wants it, and that the internet is so much superior to what we have right now. It's hard to describe. So, anyway.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Pash?
I just have a few things. Commissioner Herzog, I would like you to consider taking the liaison spot for the Housing Committee.
Okay.
It just conflicts with a lot of the things that I have going.
Okay.
With NACO veterans thing, and then I also have Fair Board liaison and those kind of things. And I know Connie's here. I along with Ms. Schmelzer, we're huge proponents of getting this thing going. But it's just a constant conflict for me, and I've missed actually both meetings.
Okay.
Because of other prior engagements that I have. So I just was wondering if you could look at your schedule and see if it's something that you could take. That would be great.
Without even looking, Chris, I would say yes. My last 6 years, I was affordable housing manager for Good Samaritan Society, and so, yeah, I would.
Sounds like a good fit then.
Yeah, so
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Another thing I have is we did fill out and send in, I kept the board informed on this, the capital funding request for 21 through 23 of the state of Oregon for the Curry County Courthouse. I have the document here if anyone wishes to see it. It's basically for courthouse replacement. It gives a description of our current state of our courthouse, as well as I mentioned in here the feasibility study that ORW is doing, the architecture firm in Medford, and what the plans are from that. And I did testify in front of the hearing the other day about the GEO bond and the possibility of getting everything funded. I just want everyone to know that we are, AOC did put us on the preferred list, for lack of better terminology. So I absolutely am more than cautiously optimistic. I am extremely hopeful that we will be selected this year to move forward with a courthouse, and that will be state funding immediately on that to help move that forward. And then there is matching fund process that we have to go through for that, as well as a GEO bond, as I spoke about earlier. So that's exciting for me. It's something that I think Commissioner Boyce has been involved in. but I've been involved in this since I was elected. I promised in my run-up that I would move as hard as I could to get a new courthouse and jail for Curry County and do all the things that were required from my office to do that. Another thing I want to talk about briefly is our situation. We all received a letter from OHA the other day, and I did respond to that at length. I didn't send it to the commissioners because of our privacy, and because we're now in public meeting, I can discuss somewhat. But I was rather dissatisfied with their assessment of the current state, some of the comments that were made about Director Ward and her job, and also some of the promises that were made to this board when we had meetings with OHA in this very room, and some other phone conversations that we had with some members of OHA. So I think in the coming weeks it is going to be something that we need to discuss and make some decisions on with the current state of not only the health, our Oregon health, but the mental health situation in our county. And I know this board is fully aware of it, but we've got some decisions that we need to make immediately to protect the citizens of this county, as we are all sworn to do. I will have one other thing, if I could ask the board later, in our others, an item that I want to bring before the board that has come up, that I've thought about all meeting, and I want to discuss in the others after executive session. So I'd like to add that to the agenda.
Certainly. So, Commissioner Pash, in my day, I don't know, 17, 18, we were number 6 on the AOC list for, because everybody needs a new court. Well, half the counties need a new courthouse. So obviously you've done something that has, something good that has promoted that forward, and that's noteworthy and really appreciated. 6 was a good number, but it sounds like we might be in the top 3, so much appreciated. Anything else?
No, that's all I have, sir.
Just real quick, just to uplift that is, you know, as liaison to the maintenance department and seeing the dire need of what we're facing with our courthouse and this building, I praise the Lord that we've had some great weather, because when it rains, this is a covered pool. This is what Brookings wants right now. The water that comes in both of these buildings is absolutely, our guys are working. There is buckets. So Chris, I'm extremely proud of you on keeping, getting that list. We need and jail. That we've heard how bad the jail is. I don't want it to be really good. I think jail should be bad, but it should be safe.
Well, it should be safe for the deputies.
It should be safe for the employees and inmates, but anyway, I'll quit there.
Well, just a little side note, when we say courthouse, I think the public needs to be reminded, we're automatically talking about the jail. And you've made that clarification. But to me, that is, the number one priority. I'm not sold that we have to have a new courthouse, or that it is the biggest priority, and especially it depends on what the taxpayers are going to have to pay. But the jail is, I think, a very legitimate concern. I don't know if I agree that it's extremely unsafe, but I haven't had the latest tour. I promised Lieutenant Hensley that I'd get over there, and I just haven't had time. But have you had your jail tour yet? Good. So,
and I could take you on a tour.
Maybe enlighten me, huh? I've been over there for 2 years, but
It's like the rain just comes in that south wall, and it just comes in.
Now you're talking courthouse or jail?
Courthouse and jail. The
Okay.
jail, there's buckets everywhere. Those ladies that are in the, where all the cameras are downstairs, the ceilings, it's terrible. It's absolutely, Chris has got his hand up.
Oh, excuse me.
There's other things as well. I mean, you talk about safety for officers. I mean, 2 or 3 inmates make a plan to trap an officer. The limited space, the turnaround space. I mean, law enforcement needs room to move. And when you get a law enforcement guy in tight quarters where he's tight to turn, and you got 2 or 3 guys around you, those kind of things, that just becomes dangerous. So if you would go on a new jail tour, I think you'll be shocked, because these guys, what they're doing, some of the creative things that they do there to get officers to come down and pay attention, your mind can't fathom, trust me. And to get an officer down there and get him in a situation that it's not lit properly, that, the cameras can't see properly where he is or that officer is, to get him into a dimly lit corner or be able to do something. Like we always say, it'll never happen in Curry until it does, but we've got to protect our jail commanders, people, and everyone in the jail, yes, of course, but especially the people that are there to serve.
I just want to emphasize, I've been real consistent on the jail. If I have to choose between replacing the jail and the jail courthouse combination, and I only got one option, that's going to be the jail. So, but I think we're all pretty much there, and I'm still not hearing what the overall estimated cost would be, and I think that's probably not real easy to determine this early, yes?
Well, just so the board is clear, this capital funding request is for courthouse only because the state matches funds to replace that courthouse. So that's why we did this as the courthouse.
Okay.
The rough estimate for the courthouse is 28 to 35 million. ORW will be giving us a more accurate estimate for the whole structure, courthouse, sheriff's department, and jail. When they, in the coming weeks, once they figure out the office space and what everyone's going to really need in the layout, then they will do a dollar cost analysis and give us more accurate numbers of exactly the costs of each, the sheriff's department, broken down into three. But this, I just want the board to be clear, this is a capital funding request for the courthouse only, and that was required through AOC and the state if we were going to continue our request for a new courthouse down the road.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else? Commissioner Herzog?
No, sir.
Council Pope? Director Rickert? I got one more thing real quick here. I just want to have a little fun. Anybody that likes, do we have a?
I think you inadvertently hit
Okay,
that.
2 minutes. This is actually 10 years old. This is put out by Freeman Marine now, Advantech. You see the steelhead there. Where's Byerland when you need him? But they were really recruiting workers to come to the county, and that hasn't changed. And so just a good reminder, I had this on file, and let's give a shout out to Freeman Marine. Again, now Advantech, they employ about 115 people. They sold out to a Canadian company, however, incredibly well managed. They are growing, slow but sure, and needless to say, great contributors to Curry County in all aspects. This is an old friend of mine, actually, by the way, from Coquille. His brother was the big-time quarterback there in high school. Anyway, I just
what's his name?
Yeah, I'm sorry. And if he saw me right now, he'd
understand.
giving me his yeah. Anyway, great family in the Coquille area, and needless to say, they know how to catch steelhead. So that's all I have. So can we go into executive session? Do we need a break?
I do have one more comment I want to
Certainly.
make that I forgot to mention. I did get another reiteration from the federal government. They are planning to get here in the coming months. They will be cleaning the Rogue River from the mouth of the river on the south end all the way to the bridge. They will take all that rock from the mouth of the river all the way to the bridge on the south side, and then they will be doing some limited cleanup around the Coast Guard station so that that cutter can get in there if they need to.
Yeah, the cutter's blocked. Oh, my. So we don't have a time frame, just it's a general commitment.
Around, I'm thinking May, mid-May, somewhere in mid-May.
But that'll be the big dredge,
They're going to bring two in.
Okay.
They're going to bring a small dredge in to clean the port mouth and a large dredge to clean the river.
We had a discussion on DeFazio's promise on $7 million. Is that going to be part of that? Do you know yet? Probably.
I haven't spoken to Congressman DeFazio about this. I've reached out to him on several occasions, and he has never responded once to any of my calls.
Let's hold him to that $7 million.
This is all through
Wellen? Dan Wellen?
Well, no, this is through,
Portico.
Department of the Interior in Washington.
Good. Okay.
Through NACO. NACO's helped push this through.
Terrific. Okay, so do we need a break, or can we go straight into executive session? It's 11:27.
I got a break.
Need a break?
I do.
Why didn't you speak up?
I just-
Okay.
Was it-
Yes.
I think the plan was that the executive session at 3 o'clock.
But don't we have more than one? We have,
Okay.
so we have two. And so okay, you're saying, Council Pope, that the amended agenda changed the time for both of them. We got 30 minutes. Do we want to use that? Or do we want to come back we don't have anything then till, so we're done till 3 o'clock. I'd like to come back at 11:30. Anybody want to support that?
11:30.
I don't, excuse me, 10 minutes? Yeah, we'd just become, how about 1 then? How about coming back at 1 and
For what?
for following up with the executive sessions? I mean, it's going to be a long day. That's why I originally was thought about 4, and I said, we better do 3. So,
What would we be following up on the executive
so
session?
why don't we change that to 2 then? Is there a reason we need to be at 3?
No, we just pushed it late so we'd have as much time for the OHA issue to get, worked on. So whatever works for everybody.
I'd be good at 1:30. Or how?
I think that would be helpful. And we're
Instead of
not,
3?
we're not disrupting any public notices, are we, or any of that? So what do you think about 1:30?
Whatever the board wishes. I'm fine.
Director Rickert?
That's fine.
1:30? See y'all back there then. Thank you. Good work.
One of the reasons I really wanted to be president, and I've enjoyed it so much, is because I get to know everybody across the state, all the commissioners, and I've been from how we differ, but more importantly, what our similarities are and what we can do with one.